Hello. How's everybody doing? Happy Saturday. Happy full moon. Happy 2026. Happy Alive Day. All that good stuff. I'm on here with you guys to do a collective energy reading for January 3rd, 2026. I'm a believer that the true new year begins in spring. However, the calendar year is what begins in 2026. So that is what is being celebrated, acknowledged, and honored at this time, that shift of switching into a new calendar cycle. But outside of that, astrologically, 2025 was a 9 year. And 2026 is a 1 year, which means we are beginning a new spiritual and energetic cycle about what our lives can be, pretty much. And in other words, 2025 was wrapping up old cycles and stories that began some years ago. We now have somewhat of a clean slate to dictate this energy the way that we want to, with the right attention, with the right focus, with the right intention in our actions and behaviors as far as what we want. So I want to begin this with an oracle read. My name is Mighty Dangerously of Dangerously Alive Wellness, for those who don't know me. And thank you for tuning in. Those who are tuned in, those who will tune in, appreciate you all. And yeah, I want to start with some oracle pulls. I'm going to pull, sorry, drop something. I'm going to pull 3 crystal healing oracle cards to begin with, to center it in some crystal messages about what energies we should be carrying forth in this new cycle we're beginning this January. The wolf moon. My voice sounds a little bit raspy. I was doing readings all day yesterday, and sorry. I was doing readings all day yesterday, and I have a wisdom tooth that needs to be pulled, so that's stressing me a bit this morning. I was resting, so my voice sounds a little bit deeper and raspier than I prefer it to sound. But yeah, so bear with me. I'm opening up my tea right now. I'm so rusty on doing TikTok Live. I forgot to schedule this in the app. I also did not promote it much, so I don't expect a lot of people to join. I will just be sharing the recap of the reading after, but I just wanted to still keep my time commitment that I set to come on here, because I feel like the last couple of times I scheduled a live, I literally had random things kind of come up, like work stuff, family stuff. So all right, so we're going to begin with the crystal healing oracle messages for January 3rd, 2026, wolf moon. Sending love to you guys wherever you are. We've got love this. So the first card we have is called the Record Keeper, which is the Orthoceras fossil. The Orthoceras fossil contains the skeletal remains of the mollusk that lived for 400 million years ago, so it can be viewed as a record keeper. It can be used to tap into ancient and lost civilizations to gain greater awareness of times gone by. If you would like to dig deeper into your Akashic records and learn about your soul origin, Orthoceras fossil can be of assistance. Physically, it helps to align the spine and skeletal structure, and emotionally, it can give one a sense of support and inner strength. By tapping into my Hall of Records, I gain deeper awareness of myself and my purpose. This card is the first card coming out. Not only is it very much deep root chakra energy, which is what I do feel we're in right now, with the sun being in a earth sign. A lot of the planets are tapped into Capricorn right now. The moon is in Cancer. There's a lot of cardinal energies for initiating a new phase of something. However, it's rooted in our purpose. It's rooted in our history, right? Of who we've been, who we want to be, where we're deciding to go, right? So there is this sense of knowing your history, knowing where you come from, tuning that into your purpose of why you're here now and what you're doing now, right? And seeing how those two connect. And what are you here to do? What are you here to bring forward? What are you here to bring to life in your lifetime? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your why of why you're doing it all? You have these talents, you have these gifts, you have these interests, you have these dreams. Hey, Kojo. Why though, right? Why are you doing these things? Why is it important to you? And it's up to you to connect to that, because that's what's going to keep you going, and that's also what's going to connect you to the level of success that you have in that thing. And then you define what success looks like. Sometimes for success for some people is you just doing the thing that was in your mind, you just getting it out there. For some people it's, this financial amount or material thing. Some people it's just recognition of other people saying like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do that, and giving you your props. But you have to know what determines success for you in anything that you set out to do. And being connected to your why is what's going to give you your superpower in it. You know what I mean? The next card we have here is Pink Aventurine, which is a card of romance and also protecting your heart, healing your heart, so that you can invite in new joys, new love. A lot of times, yes, romantic love is its own thing, but a lot of times, when we talk about attracting love, being love, it's not just about romantic love, right? Love is this life force energy that fuels our life. The sake of being repetitive, but it fuels us, right? And it's the love of, who you are, the love of what you like and what you like to enjoy in life. Like, you connecting with love is not just about a romantic partner, but it can be, right? And that is one beautiful expression of that. And if you are looking to attract more romantic love in this season, then this message could be for you. And the affirmation for this card is about enjoying the dating process, the romance, and getting to know one another. So that to me is like moving slow, really getting to know people on a heart-centered level. It says, during the dating process, we are often so preoccupied if the other person is the one that we miss out on the best part, the romance and the getting to know one another. If you examine Pink Aventurine, you will see luminescent sparkles, encouraging you to let your love sparkle and allow it to shine. Pink Aventurine reminds you that love is an adventure and to embrace it fully, have fun with it, and enjoy the romance. For me, I see this as literally adding romance to all elements of your life, whether you're partnered or not, right? Romanticizing your life, enjoying your life, living it to the fullest, living the way that you know you want to be lived. That will bring you the most joy, that will bring you the most fulfillment, and heart healing towards your life. So that's that card. The next card we have here is the Bumblebee Jasper. This is about productivity. So even though I do feel like, the start of the new year, there's all this pressure to get a lot of things done. And how are you starting the new year? What are you creating? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Everybody wants to have these little bragging points. But January is really this reset energy for you to rest. Now, if you have things in motion and you have to keep the momentum with it, by all means, Don't slow your shit down. Right? Keep going. Do what you have to do. However, if you are in a position to move a little bit slower, and productivity doesn't mean you're rushing. You can still be productive and move slower, right? And still honor your natural energy and honor the pace that makes sense for you to move. So that's what it's about. That's what authenticity is. It's like you living what feels right for you, not you watching somebody else's plan and be like, oh, I got to do it just the way they did. Now, you can be inspired by somebody else's plan and their route of how they do things, but ultimately you have to find your own way, and that's going to be part of your key to success, is you honoring your natural cycles and the way that things move and feel for you. So I would say this is a good time for planning. Hey, how are you? Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate you for being here. Much love. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. Happy blessings unfolding. And I hope everyone's somewhere warm and at peace, in this time period. We are in some stressful times, and there's this quote, I forget, it's just like this famous writer or director said, hell is other people, but heaven could be other people too, right? We don't always have to be each other's stress and destruction and source of confusion for others, right? And we forget that, like, this world is made of people. We decide what we do. We decide the kind of world we live in. We decide how we treat each other. We decide what we just go along with, what we don't go along with. So, we need more community now than ever. We need more people operating from a space of love, of life, love of who they are, love of community, love of what they want to share and contribute to others. And, evil doesn't take any day off, so we can't take days off either from being good people, from, being kind to ourselves, kind to each other. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, this is not a time to go to sleep, but it is a time to pace yourself. Find your rhythm to be your productive self, and you define what that looks like for you, but make moves. Make moves. Don't rush. There's not a race, but if there's something in your spirit that you need to start, you need to do, you need to build, make moves. Even if it's just you writing it out, even if it's just you spending time thinking about it, that's work too, right? Dreaming about it, that's part of the work, right? Just take some type of step towards creating the things that you want to see in this life. Do not take this time for granted. That is also one of the lessons of Capricorn season. It's like, it's time, it's resources. How are we managing these things, right? What are we using, what we have to build what we desire, right? And then with this moon being in Cancer, it's like, how are we nurturing it all? How are we giving the love and care to the things that we are creating at this time, to the things that we want to last, right? Where are we putting our love into? Where are we putting what are we caring about right now? And how are we expressing that care in the world? Are we just saying that, or are we being that? With how we're showing up, and yes, there's a lot going on. We can't fix every problem. We can't show up physically for every cause, but we can show up emotionally, though, for the things that matter to us. We can show up mentally, meaning that we acknowledge, we're aware of what's going on. We have an opinion about it. We express on these things. Do not undervalue the importance of your expression, of you just speaking out and saying, like, I agree with this, I don't agree with this, I understand this, I don't understand this, I know what this is, I don't know what this is. Acknowledge these things, speak on these things. We don't have to have the answers for everything, but we are acknowledged we have the right to have our feelings about it, and that does matter. A lot of times, I don't think we always have the words for everything that's going on in this world, because these are new situations. Even if we've read about things like this in history books or in articles or whatever, we're living it now, right? That's a whole different, it's a whole different beast of its own, and we have to give ourselves grace with that. But again, we cannot turn ourselves off. We cannot numb ourselves. We cannot escape the realities of the world. We have to see it, acknowledge, and decide how we're going to move with it. Are we going to be a part of solutions? Are we going to be a part of the problem? Are we going to be one of these people who makes the world better for others? Or are we going to be one of these people who just go along and contribute to the pain and suffering of the world, because that's how the world is. You know what I'm saying? We decide what the world is. So I want to pull from another deck. Thinking the alchemy deck. I'm going to pull 3 cards from the alchemy oracle as well. And we're going to get into those messages here. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for joining. Sending love to everybody this Saturday. Happy 2026. Welcome to the new calendar year. Welcome to the new one cycle. Now it's time to use your free will. Like ever before, if there was a time for you to tap into your free will, for you to make decisive decisions for your life and the lives of those that you care about, this is that time. This is that time to have those conversations, to make those decisions, to make those plans. I'm pulling 3 from the Alchemy Oracle. We've got Venus. That makes sense. We've got the Drowned King. Interesting. I'll show you that card. The Drowned King. And then we've got spring. I wish it were spring. It's always spring in my heart, but unfortunately, I'm in New York and it's winter. So I dream of spring. I wish I could teleport myself directly to spring. Skip everything, go to spring. So the first card we have is Venus, and I thought that was really appropriate because, you know, Venus rules the heart energies, the ether energies, and this is heart-centered energy that we're in, and that's kind of what I led with when I began speaking with you guys before I pulled any cards. It's about moving from the heart, moving from the soul with a sense of purpose. Anything you're doing that's not purposeful may not go well, you know, at this time. Like, you have to be so intentional. It has to be, and I know that word is so overused these days, intentional. Like, what does that mean, right? It has to be genuine to you. You have to actually care about it. It has to be aligned with your higher purpose of why you're doing it. Yes, we have free will. There's destiny. There's things that, you know, our birth chart says that we have the potential to be and do, right? But ultimately, it's about the choices that we make that lead us there. What we decide to do, what we reject, what we accept, what we follow, you know, those are the things that determine how things play out and where we actually end up, right? So it's like, just don't let life, this is not a year for you to just let life happen. Let me just say that. This is a year for you to take a little bit more control and responsibility for your life and the world that you're a part of, because that matters too, right? So Venus, pleasure, eros, beauty. With the arrival of Venus, the senses open as for the first time. It is a planet of pleasure, touch, and sensual delight. Venus is often depicted as romance or eroticism between people, but it can also be experienced as an all-out love affair with Mother Nature herself. Aphrodite emerging from the ocean is a classic example of Venus imagery. This is Cupid with his bow. No matter how old, or jaded you are, when this card appears, it's a sign that attraction is at an all-time high. The laboratory is all alight with love. You may be in love with the work, with the materials, with another person, with the world itself. Seeing beauty in small moments is a sign of Venus, is a sign of balance, an obligatory reminder that pleasure and pain are usually found intertwined. So, if you were here for the very first part of the reading, one of the cards that got pulled was the Pink Aventurine, and we talked about this romanticizing of life and the beauty of doing that. And you have to romanticize your life. You have to find the joy of your life. You have to find a thing that lights you up and makes you feel like you are the star in your own movie, in your life. Because looking around you, it may not always feel that way. You know what I mean? It's easy to get disconnected in this world. It's easy to feel like, okay, where do I fit in with all these things that are happening around me? And that's where your choices come in, because what you create, what you build will house you, right? Will house your spirit, will house your heart, and give you your place to be. And that's what it's about. And this sun in Capricorn, moon in Cancer is about how are you taking care of the home of you? How are you taking care of the home of Earth? How are you taking care of anything that is remotely connected to your concept and idea of home and health and what you're embodying at this time and how you're nurturing it, how you're growing it? And so we're getting this message that we need to be in tune with the joy of life, the joy of living, not just the heaviness of it, not just the weight of life and the responsibilities of life, but how are we having fun through it all? How are we creating our joys through the process? How are we still in tune with the beauty of life and the beauty of the seasons, even if we're not in the season that's our preference, right? How do you still find the beauty of it, to connect with your heart space, to be in a space of gratitude, that even when things look as crazy as they are, you're still like, oh man, I still get to be here and be a part of this and experience this. That's a part of the gift, right? So Venus wants you to connect to the things that you find beautiful, the beauty of life, the joy of life, the beauty within yourself, the love within yourself, the love that you decide to share, the love that's available to you. You know, how are you connecting with more love in your life? And where do you need to connect with more love in your life? Where are you needing more joy in your life, right? Um, the next card we have, we are pulling oracle cards for those who are just joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this card is the Drowned King. Should be right here. Yeah. So this is about ego collapse, losing face and humility. In alchemy, the archetype of the king is often used as a symbol for the ego, the aspect of the self that is attached to the title, name, and identity. It is said that the drowned king is a required phase in the process of transformation. Only through dissolving who they thought they were is the king able to become who they are destined to be, a kind of benevolent leader, a kind and benevolent leader. How does the drowning occur? Not voluntarily, that's for certain. Through circumstances beyond their control, the king is brought to their bottom, to their knees. When this card appears, expect a huge blow to the ego, impactful enough that it causes one to turn their life around, prioritizing grace over greed, benevolence over brutality, sovereignty over selfishness. The drowned king eventually resurfaces as a fully charged, benevolent being. So, this is to ponder the power of benevolence, right? The power of operating from a space of good, the good of itself, the good of others, the good of society, good of community, right? How are we tuning into our good, what we connect to as good within us? And that's interesting because it makes me think of the Wicked movies, because we have this polarity of good and wicked, and what do those mean, right? And how they're presented isn't actually true to who they actually really are, but it's the labels that get put on them based on how they are presenting, right? So that's for another conversation, but I think that's really interesting. And I think this message is really interesting, right? There, and I also, if you were here from the very beginning of this conversation, I opened it talking about 2025 being the year of shedding, releasing, and ending cycles, ending karma, right? There was this uh humbleness that came with last year, right? I personally felt it in both 2024 and 2025. I even might have felt it heavier in 2024, but that's a different conversation. Um, but anyway, there's been this dissolving of the ego, of who we thought maybe we were, who we thought we were supposed to be, where we thought maybe we're supposed to be at this time, right? The way we think that life was supposed to be, the way that we think the world is supposed to be. There's a dissolving and a letting go of that illusion, that or maybe, or a reality that once was, right? We're letting go of that, and now we're forming something new. So at the top of this calendar year, which is still a real cycle because so many around the world acknowledge it as such, so that's what makes it real, you know. We put so much power into this shift, so that's what makes it real. It resets, everything, that's connected to time and money very Capricornian, Capricornian. So and very Saturnian in nature, this shift that we go through. But it's been made to be a real thing, right? There are several different kinds of New Year's depending on what cultures you are a part of and what you celebrate. And this is a kind of one, for us that changes our time, that changes the calendar, that changes the different opportunities that are available to us because now there's been this reset, you know what I mean? So it's just acknowledging that. So yeah, it's like what have we been allowing to dissolve within ourselves? What are we seeing dissolved collectively in society? And what do we want to build in its place? How are we treating ourselves during the dissolution process, right? How are we feeling while things are dissolving? And I think that's also why this message is being partnered with the Venus message. It's like stay connected to what you love because that's what's going to save you. That's what's going to heal you. That's what's going to free you, whether that's your family, whether that's what you're creating in the world, whether that's your garden, whether that's, your love of nature, the trees, whatever, you being connected to that love, to that why, to that purpose is your key and way forward. That is your key to transformation. That is your key to freedom. That is your key to healing, whatever you think healing means to you at this time. The next card we have is spring. And I love that spring comes up in this message because, yeah, spring is about like birthing a new beginning. And even though, no, we're not in spring, this is the prequel to spring, right? I'm gonna start looking at winter as the prequel to spring, because I don't like winter at all. But I think looking at it as, and that's exactly what winter is. It's this preparation time, right? This preparation time for my favorite season. I think that makes it a lot better. And that also romanticizes it a little bit, in my life and in my world. It makes it sound a little bit more exciting than it is. So yeah, don't be scared to do too much, to romanticize your life and make it feel and look the way you imagine it to be, the way that's in alignment with who you are instead of necessarily meeting it where you feel like it is, right? So spring, blossoming, becoming the horizon. When spring arrives, our eyes lift from the work and we peer out the window of our laboratory. We realize Earth has been in its own transformational spin, readying itself for a new era of growth. In a state of wonder, the alchemist sets aside the work of winter and opens the door, stepping into spring. When this card arrives, it indicates a blossoming, a coming into one's own. It's generation time. Generation time. I love that. You may be dreaming up a business plan, humming a new melody, or flirting with a special someone. Spring is the season of the East, where the sun rises and lights the world. You do not have to work on anything during this phase. Let the energy of the season push you through. You've made it through winter, and the bulbs burst on their own. So this is interesting to get this card in winter, right? Because we are still in the work of winter. Some might say we just kind of started the work of winter, but it's still saying like you can allow things to be new within you, right? And newness comes in phases. So this could be the part of the new phase where maybe you're planting the seeds and the ideas, where you're nourishing the things that you've already started, where you're like spending time dreaming up, this new vision before you actually take the steps to execute. But you could be in spring. I like this. I like this saying that that I can still be in spring even though it's in winter, right? In the spring of creation, the spring of generation, even if it's only internally within myself. So that's kind of the message to take here. To ponder the flower within the bud. So yeah, this is the flower that's inside the bud before it's been released to the world, right? Um, and I think that is an interesting space to be in. If you think about it from the flower's perspective, right? They're in this very compacted space. There's not a lot of room to breathe. It probably isn't comfortable there, and it's dark as well, right? Like winter is dark, and they're sitting there waiting, imagining what's going to be on the other side as soon as their petals get released, as soon as they get to open up. So I feel like that's exactly what's happening right now. We are the flower within the bud that has not yet bloomed. Um, but if we're nurtured right, we'll flower soon. If we nurture ourselves right, if we nurture the things that we're loving and creating at this time, then we will bloom. We will have our full bloom. So that's a beautiful message. I think that's. Did I want to do another oracle? I may do another oracle after, but I'm gonna pull from the tarot now. Um, and yeah, whew. So I think I mentioned I have a wisdom tooth issue that's happening, and it's causing me to have some pretty bad headaches until I get it pulled. And it is starting back up again. So after this, I'll probably be tuning out again. But um, I wanted to just come on here and do a quick acknowledgement of the energy. And part of my 2026 commitment is to do these more frequently, more consistently, um, and not just on the full new moon phases and times, but just, on an ongoing basis to get on here and talk to you guys and build more intentional community. I feel like I meet some really amazing people through my tarot and wellness work, and especially through the course of last year, I just kept thinking, like, man, I just want all these people to know each other. I think if I could help bring together all the people that I meet through my wellness work, I could build an amazing community of like-minded people who want the same things, who feel very similar, who are also navigating some of the same challenges. So I am working on something. I've been working on something, and yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to roll that out at some point and juncture. So stay tuned for that. And if that is something that you are interested in, feel free to stay connected with me. Drop me a note, send me some love, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if that's something that you would be interested in and want to benefit from. So I'm trying to decide what spread I want to use, because I did say I want to keep this short, but I also want to give a good amount of information. And this poll, this is not a full 2026 year ahead spread. I thought about doing one of those, but I mean, the messages obviously will be vague because it'll be a collective reading. Um, if that is something that you guys want, let me know and I will do it. If that is something that's a need, or of interest to folks, then I'll definitely do it. But I was definitely thinking about the best way to do it, or if I was going to do it by elements. Um, so that's another way that it could be done too. Um, so yeah, it's just a thought. Okay, so we're gonna pull this for January 2026. The energies of January 2026, what we need to be tuned into as a collective, what we need to be paying attention to as a collective, and what do we need to be nurturing? What do we need to be nurturing? Where needs nurturing? Okay. What do we need to be nurturing now as a collective over January 2026? Okay, what needs to be nurtured? January 2026. All right. So, the very first card we have here is the Six of Wands, which is interesting. And the Six of Wands, points to important projects or collaborations that you may have worked on in the past that maybe garnered you some type of success or recognition, maybe got you in the spotlight of some kind, or maybe just kind of elevated you in some way, even if it's just by maybe reputation or, having it on your resume or something like that. So something connected to a success of the past is coming back. A success that was created with others, a success in a team environment is coming back. And then we've got the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is a little bit of um, a loss of confidence in oneself, right? Maybe because it's been a long time since they did the thing that they're trying to do again, or but there's some reason with the Seven of Wands, there's this extra wall of protection up. There's this guarded energy. There's this energy of like a fear of being seen or fear of being compared, fear of being judged by others, right? And when we're doing anything new, when we're doing anything remotely of substance, there's that element there, right? People are gonna have something to say, whether good or bad. And you have to be okay with that. You have to kind of release your expectation on that. Yes, we want all the good praise. We want to hear the good things when we're doing good things, well, things that we think are good things, right? Um, but there's always gonna be somebody who says something otherwise, and you have to prepare yourself for that. And you also have to mentally prepare yourself to not care, to not be overly invested in the judgments or critiques of others when you're pursuing something. It's more like centering yourself and trusting yourself more, trusting your path, purpose, and desire more than you trust the naysayers and the chatter of the of the group or whoever. So that's kind of what that's about. Um, and yes, it is good to be prepared, right? To know what you want to say or feel in those moments, but um don't put so much energy into that. Another message though, and I'm laughing because this combination came out, I swear, the last time I did a collective reading on here, and I think that was over the summer. I did a collective live over the summer. I want to say, yeah, it was in August because I did it from Costa Rica. And I got the Seven of Wands with the Seven of Swords, right? And my immediate thought after I talked about what I felt that could be on an individual level for the collective, once I thought about the government and shit, and shit, just what's going on, I was like, oh, this could definitely be what this is about. So and if you are, tuned into the news and you heard what happened, today or over the last 48 hours or so, there's fuckery afoot um, regarding our government. So this is like preparing your mind against manipulation, um, being able to see through confusion and lies and know what's real. So there's this element of protecting yourself um and being, I don't want to say ready to go to war, but sometimes Seven of Wands feels that way, even if it's not a real actual war, but like that's the feeling of it. It's like, oh, I'm preparing myself for whatever comes. I'm on guard, I'm ready in case XYZ comes through. So this could also be just another reminder to be protecting yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally at this time, being careful of the energies and informations that you take in, the things and how you take it in, the thoughts that, it may lead you to form of the opinions that you might be subject to. Um, yeah, and just adding a little bit more, maybe fight in your life at this time, whether you're fighting for your dreams, you're fighting for your way of life, you're fighting for your survival, you're fighting to be heard, to be seen, to create whatever it is, right? There's this element of fighting through something, especially some layer of confusion or manipulation. So yeah, this is the collective reading. This is not for specific signs. And like I said, this could be happening to us on an individual level. This could be um, what we're experiencing just as a society, which I definitely feel is a part of this energy right now. But it's also just another reminder to not feed too much into it. Yes, we have to be aware enough to care, but not to lose ourselves in it. Um, Part of these heavy manipulative energies, they win when we give up on ourselves, when we get confused, when we start to feel hopeless, when we also start to turn on each other. Don't do that. If you're going to fight against something, fight against the negative energies and influences that exist out there, but don't fight your neighbors and your family over the shit that the government is doing just because you disagree or you don't understand or you have a different perspective, whatever it is. We have to all accept that none of us know 100% exactly what's going on. We just know how we feel about it and how we want to move through this life. And we also know that we all want to live good and we all want to be safe and we all want to have love and joy in our lives and those and the positive things. We all want to live a good life, right? But we do have to work at that. It's not just guaranteed to us, unfortunately. We have to work at that, and that is shown in, again, what we do, how we show up, how we share that love and care and expression in the world. And again, that is a big message of this full moon, right? What are we nurturing to bring to life? What structures need a little bit more care? What structures are dissolving and need to be rebuilt? Right? And also rebuilt from this lens of care, of love, of joy, of restoration, not this, not what it's been, right? So collectively, we have this ego disillusion that's happening. And I hope that this is saying that more people are really realizing the weight of what's happening in the world and that they can't, just sit back and watch it anymore. So we have to all figure out our ways of how we are combating that energy. And you could do it just by the way that you live your life. If you are living your life in a way that is not feeding these negative things that exist outside of these systems, then you're doing a good job. That is still important work, right? Because these systems can't run if we're not a part of them. So the more of us that remove ourselves from those things that operate outside, that stop supporting the brands and funding the things that are helping these systems thrive, then yes, that is still important work, So again, don't beat yourself up. We can only move much as we can. We can only do what we can, right? But as long as we all do something, then something can change and shift, even if it's just the acknowledgement, like, hey, this is right, this isn't right, this is wrong, this isn't wrong. You know what I mean? Like, start there. Start there. We got this Wheel of Fortune energy. Wheel of Fortune is saying, hold tight, there's some changes coming. Um, Changes for the better ultimately, but still work in progress, right? So the Wheel of Fortune brings surprise blessings, it brings surprise opportunities, it brings things that you maybe didn't plan for. And hello, all who's joining. They bring things that maybe you didn't plan for. Um, but it's saying here, it's being clarified by the Emperor card. So the Emperor is saying, like, again, what are we building structure to, right? That we say that we want. How are we planning for the world that we want to live in, for the life that we want to live? How are we bossing up in this level? Like, where are we stepping up to be more of a leader? Happy 2026, Happy New Year. Where are we stepping up to be more of a leader in our lives, in our world, in our communities, right? And maybe that desire to step up and lead in some type of way might come as a surprise to you. Maybe a situation might happen that makes you that inspires you to step up on that level, and might be something you didn't plan for. And you might realize that you might be a better leader than you thought, right? Even if you're only leading yourself, that is okay. Okay. We just can't afford to have a whole society and community of people who don't trust themselves enough to think for themselves, to believe in themselves, to know right from wrong without someone else having to tell them what's right or wrong. And that's kind of the problem right now. A lot of people are waiting to see what other people think first before they decide to move. And you can't do that. Okay. You got to know how you feel. You got to know what you think. And you got to know what you think is the right course of action. You can, of course, confer with others, work with other people to make these changes, but you have to know for yourself first. And then now you can align with the other people who also feel the way that you do and think the way that you do, because you guys are in this decisive plan of action and knowing like, okay, this is how we feel, this is what we're doing, you know. But this staying in the in between, being, confused and just letting everything happen around us cannot continue. Not if you want to have a good world to live in, not if you want your kids and your families to have a good world to live in. We have to be active participants in that. And again, what we do for ourselves also helps the world as well. So making those intentional choices to put ourselves in the right space, in the right energies at all times. Now, the past influence we have here is the Page of Cups. So this is the third time we're getting like romance related messages. So I think themes of new relationships forming might be really key for a lot of us this year, especially if you've been looking for love. I think this year being a 1 year is also going to make love connections a little bit smoother and less heavy, because we're not in this collective karmic shedding period of 2025. I think that was a hard year for meeting anybody new. I think, it was a good year for kind of figuring out where you stand in your present relationship, or elevating where you were in a present connection. But it was a hard year for starting new relationships, I would say. And I'm saying that for my, not only for my own personal experience, but what I've experienced through the clients and the hundreds of love readings I did for people last year. So yeah, it's just, I feel a lot more hopeful. And in this January spread, we've got three different messages that are connected to incoming love. So I think that's going to be a theme this month. There's going to be some love, and this is a past influence. So um, there could be relationships that of the past that we're learning from, that are impacting this month's energy for us. Um, and even going back to the first cards that we got in the present energy with the Six of Wands, this could be, wanting to recreate maybe a kind of relationship or a love that you had in the past, and wanting to have that back, even if it's not with the same person. But it's kind of like, okay, there was, I miss having this kind of a connection, or this kind of friendship, or, these kind of people in my life, and wanting to bring that back. The short term energy is the Devil card. So the Devil card comes up. We have to be mindful of our fears. We have to be mindful of our imposed limitations, what we perceive limitations to be. We have to also be mindful of falling back into negative patterns and behaviors, negative influences. Um, January is a great like reset time, so it's a good time to cut out some things, even just temporarily, whether it's fasting, doing juice cleanses, um, taking a break from sweets, even taking a break from things that you know are not good for you, right? I'm not sure why people invite you to co-host something when I'm like on a live doing something. But anyway, anyway, I'm not gonna talk too much about that. But hi, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for joining. But I'm just doing my reading here. Um, yeah, so the Devil card wants us to watch out for sneaky ways that negative energy likes to entrap us in things, trap us in situations. So this could be literally just staying away from people who are talking really negative or have very negative habits, making sure you're not diving too deep into your negative habits this month. Um, the Emperor card that came out with the Wheel of Fortune, I would also say like this could be you being inspired to have better routines, plans, and strategies if I didn't say that before, right? A shift in life or a new opportunity might come up that makes you be more disciplined, that grounds you a little bit more. Um, and also, I feel like this could be saying like you being more disciplined, you being more grounded will make you more attractive for the changes, for the shifts of things that you're wanting at this time, for the things that you're attracting at this time. Um, the card clarifying the devil card is the Eight of Pentacles. So I feel like this is saying like, don't be scared to trust yourself. Don't be scared to go at it alone. Don't be scared to trust your own resources, your own skills, your own experience, your own ability to create, your own ability to create abundance for yourself, right? Because the Eight of Pentacles is about mastery and creating some level of success with things that you've taught yourself or things that you've learned, things that you've mastered, right? That are now ready for the marketplace. What skills do you have that will help you to go at it alone? In an entrepreneurial sense, right? Are you scared of betting on yourself? Are you scared of working for yourself? Are you scared of putting yourself out there, right? This can definitely be about that in you facing those fears of being seen, those fears of trusting in your business plan or your business idea or believing that your business won't work, right? Even if last year was a stressful year for you. And I'll say that, like entrepreneurially last year was a stressful year. I have been entertaining other work. I still am, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm going to give up on my own work, but I do want additional work that's going to complement um, and just better support me to do the things that I want to do in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. So this could be just, you addressing your fears, resistance, hesitations around your work life, around the way you're making money, around the stability that you have in life, or what you want your stability to be, what you're building, what you're putting your energy into. So yeah, sit with that, if you're able to do that today, sit with that today and think about how you can pour more love and joy and intention into the things that you're building, and the things that you are creating, into what you are manifesting. And before jumping into the manifesting of calling in all these new things, right? Listen first. Listen to yourself. What in your spirit is ready to be manifested right now? Because that matters, right? There's a timing for everything, and things can only be birthed in their right timing. They have to be in alignment with the universe for this thing to be created. So sometimes we have this plan of something that we want to do, and it does not happen in the time that we want to do it. And then we release it, right? And then out of nowhere, the universe brings it to us when it's time for it to happen because we put that energy into asking for it. So listen, what can be birthed this year with the resources that you have, with the knowledge that you have, with the information that you have, with the desire that you have? What are you genuinely feeling called to create and pour your energy into? How are you feeling called to pour energy into yourself at this time? What outside of you are you deciding to pour your energy into? Um, Let's see. We could end this with, I think we can end that there, but I do have other, like I have other oracle cards. I have my other I have this deck that I haven't used in a while, so I think I'll do the same with this oracle, and this will be the last, and I'll sign off until next time. Yeah, I think this is a good thing to end it with. This is the Green Witch Oracle, so it gives like herb and astrology related messages. So I'm going to do the same thing and pull 3 cards, and we're asking, what does the collective need to know for their way forward this January? What does the collective need to know for the way forward? Energies do we need to be tapping into for our success, for our growth, for our healing this January 2026? What energies do we need to be moving into? What energies do we need to be surrounding ourselves with? Energies we need to be embodying and connecting with. Third time we got a message of attraction. So you know what, guys? January is feeling like a highly attractive, lucky month. Use it wisely. And attraction goes both ways, right? In the sense, I say it that way because we attract whatever we're focusing on. So make it good. Make it good. Be very specific and be very intentional. Don't let your mind just run crazy. Ground your energy. Do not manifest from a place of fear. Don't manifest from a place of anxiety. Manifest from a place of love, joy, and intention and alignment for what you want for yourself. These are not just random words, okay? Think about the words and what they actually mean and use them wisely in your life, okay? Alignment means is what I'm calling in, fitting who I am right now, fitting where I am right now, right? Intention. Is this what I really want and why do I want it? Right? Okay. Be specific. But there's the be specific thing is debatable because some people say, oh, you're too specific, it won't work the way you want it to. But I think the more specific you are about it, the more clear of a vision you have in your mind for it. And that creates more of a possibility of it happening. Um, so just use your mind, have fun with your mind. Um, so yeah, that card is attraction. Pansy flower. What do you want to be attracting? What makes you feel attractive? Not just physically attractive, but energetically attractive, right? What are you intentionally attracting right now in this universe? And it's not to say because you start attracting it now in January, it's going to show up in January. But this is the time period now where it's saying, yes, you can ask. The window is open. The portal is open. You can put in your request. The universe is accepting requests this January. So, what are you requesting? And are you trusting and believing in your request? The next card we have is luck. And this also feels very much in alignment with me with the Wheel of Fortune card that we just pulled. Like the surprise blessing, things, kind of coming when you least expect it, but still asking you to be prepared for it. You know what I mean? So it's like preparing yourself for the blessing that you don't know you're going to get just yet, but just continue to prepare. Blessings. Thank you for joining. Happy 2026, 2026. Sending love to everybody who's tuned in with me today. I appreciate you guys. Happy Saturday. Happy January. Happy Aliveness Day. Aliveness every day. I hope every day you're doing things that make you feel alive, that make you feel loved, that make you feel valued, that make you feel worthy. And if no one else outside of you is giving you those things, I need you to give it to yourself. I need you to look at yourself every day and be like, you're fucking amazing. I'm glad you're here. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Life is too short to be selling yourself short. So let's make it happen. Let's make the best of this life. Let's make good choices. Let's be intentional, intentional. Let these not just be random words that we see online or that people just throw out of their faces. use the words for what they actually mean and embody it. Okay. Grounding is the next card. Um, Grounding. I did speak about this. Um, Much appreciated. Drive safe. Thank you for stopping by. I did speak about the need for grounding. I always feel like winter in general, my natural response to winter is my need to ground. My need to ground, my need to kind of hibernate. I always need more rest. I always need more quiet. I even spend more time in darkness, like literally, like just because it's peaceful. But obviously everything in balance. And but grounding, it's like, what do you need to do to ground yourself? If you're feeling overstimulated, if you're feeling extra anxious, if you're dealing with depression, dealing with extra worry, if you're dealing with a lot of grief, right? Winter, even when you're not somewhere warm, is a triggering time. I remember for a few years, I lived in Oakland during the winters, and then I also spent one winter in Jamaica. I literally saw very similar shifts, to be honest, of what people go through psychologically and mentally during those time periods. And all this time, I thought it was literally just during like New York winters or places where it gets cold and whatever. But even without the weather change, winter is a time period that makes us shift and go a little bit more internal. Um, and that can be when it's a shift that you don't necessarily want at that time, it can be a bit triggering or jarring, right? A lot of people have heaviness around the end of the year, whether it's from childhood stuff or just growing up life stuff, whatever. It brings up bad memories, breakups, whatever, people that we lost, during holiday season. So it's a heavy, heavy time period, and we have to proceed with care. And I'm going to read the message for all of them. I'm going to start with attraction, which is number 34, which is 7. Just like, perseverance, spiritual mastery. But the pansy card is here representing attraction. Um, It's connected with memories, meditation, kindness, resonance, and weather magic. Connected to the sign of Libra and the celestial planet of Saturn. And we are in very Saturnian energies at this time. And as I'm even saying that, I'm reminded of the Emperor message with the Wheel of Fortune. And it's like, yes, you can have blessings if you are grounding. Right. If you're preparing for them, if you're planning for them, if you're working towards it, right, in a structured way, which is very Saturn energy. It's like Saturn is the teacher. Saturn represents structures. Um, the things that represent that are solid in our lives that we want to last, right? So how are we working to build those things? How are we pouring our energies into that? How are we attracting what we want for those things? Okay. My headache is kicking in, so I'm gonna really wrap this up because I said I was just gonna do, but anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. So yeah, that's the message for Pansy. I'm gonna take a picture of this and I'll post this later. It's also connected with the fairies and the deity of Kuan Yin. Um, which is one of the deities about compassion. She's also like very much like a water spirit, if I'm not mistaken. Kuan Yin. 31, lime. Lime representing luck. 31 is 4. 4, we got this other message of structure, right? Structure, responsibilities, discipline with the 4. Organization with the 4. So again, it says to me, your structure, your organizations will bring you luck. Um, your preparation, your planning, the way you ground yourself will help to bring you luck. Um, oops. They're asking me to verify. Okay. So yeah, so that's something to think about. This is connected with awareness, harmony, inspiration, anxiety, protection, celestial element of the sun, astrological sign Capricorn. We're in the sign of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So another synchronicity there. Um, this is about luck that we work for, right? Not luck that falls out of the sky or luck that's based on our work. How about that? Right? It's not luck that's it's rooted in nothingness. It's not just yeah. The luck that we receive will be connected to the work that we do and have done. Present, past, future, right? We're creating our luck with what we do now in the present with how we think, how we proceed, the energies that we pour into what we do. If everything you do, you're being doubtful, negative, and anxious, you're not only blocking your blessings, but you're helping to create more of those energies in things throughout your life, period, right? The more love you pour into everything, the more love you see come back to you. Even if you're just cooking, let's say you're making toast, I don't care. You're spreading that butter on there. You could say love affirmations, okay? About how much nourishment this is going to give you and the love that it's going to give your body and the love that you have for life. That's romanticizing your life. Romanticize every moment of your life to make yourself more attractive to the things that you want for yourself, okay? That is a big message here. I'm going to be practicing this myself. I'm not going to tell you anything that I'm not going to also do and that I also don't believe. So, romanticize your life, pour that love into yourself, pour that love into every single thing you do, and watch the shift. Watch how it makes things different, even when you're drinking your water. Drink it with love. Imagine yourself filling yourself with love every time you nourish yourself, every time you drink a sip of water, right? Um, Now, grounding, number 5. Interesting that 5 is grounding. 5 is a bit of an unpredictable number. Represents surprises, changes. So, image magic, healing, health protection, compassion, stability, connected with the sign of Virgo and the planets of moon and the sun, the celestial elements of the moon and the sun. It says when the world wearies, the society fails to satisfy. There is always the garden. This is interesting. This is about sustaining yourself and the ways that you choose to sustain yourself. Um, Even when society can't, right? What we can't get from the world, we give to ourselves, right? We start there, right? And this is interesting to me. And I thought of, as I saying this, I thought about it literally, right? About the food shifts that are happening in America. Um, they're making it so that maybe we really can't. I mean, this has been this way. This is not brand new, but there's new legislations that for certain pesticides that are making the reality that we really cannot trust these as food sources anymore, and that we need to figure out alternate plans, like and people have been talking about this for years. Again, this is not new, but how are we growing our own food? How are we creating what we need to sustain ourselves on all levels, not just physical food that we eat, but spiritual food, energetic food, mental food. How are we feeding ourselves? How are we feeding ourselves the things that are grounding us? And what do we need to be feeding ourselves so that we can be grounded? What do we need to be growing in order to be grounded? What do we need to be cultivating in order to be grounded? Um, Use this as a season of grounding. And you can be grounded and be productive and be attractive all at the same time. Okay? These are not these are not separate, mutually exclusive energetic frequencies. You can be in gratitude at the same time as well. They can all be done at the same time. And I think that's the magic recipe for creating what you want at this time and allowing your true energy to shine through instead of you just operating in this space of reactivity to the world and fear of what's happening and what's happening next because it's all out of your control. You can control you. You control your energy. You control what you create. You control what you do. You control what you put in your body. You control what you say. You control what you think. You control what you feel. You control what you express, how you express. Take more control over your life. This is a 1 year. Okay? Sovereignty. How will we be more sovereign within ourselves this year? Be sovereign as societies and as collectives? How will we get to a place of trust with ourselves and each other? How can we become independent from the sources that are trying to harm us, right? How do we figure this out? One is also a powerful number of like belief and identity. Your identity might be shifting this year. You might be stepping into a new version of you this year. That could be a part of that ego dissolution energy that we spoke about. How are you doing this intentionally? Where do you want to be shifting? As you're listening to yourself, where does it tell you that you're shifting? Shifting. Where does it tell you that you're shifting? Right. And what are you doing to prepare? How are you setting the stage for this new show that you're about to have called Your Life in 2026? So, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next time. I promise it will not be this long before I do another live. This will be posted on my page. So I'll see you soon. Stay connected. Let me know how life is flowing for you. Let me know how this January is shaping out for you. If there are specific types of readings you guys want me to do, let me know. If you want me to do a 2026 collective reading, let me know. I will do one. But until then, I will talk to you guys later. Hit me up, Madi Dangerously Alive .wellness on the gram. Madi Dangerously everywhere. Check out my spoken word stuff out in the world and my art. Check out my website. My new website is launched, MadiDangerously.com. I also have started a new series of content on my Substack, MadiDangerously.substack, where I'm posting just reflections, some articles, essays, poems about things that are happening in our world and making some connections on things. So I would love for you to join the conversation there. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you agree, disagree, whatever, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. I will talk to you guys soon. Much love and happy everything. Peace.